It's the Dad in the Rock After Show. Now, here's Chris and Shaun.
Welcome back once again to the Acolyte After Show, part of the Dad and Rock After Show. This is Shaun.
And this is Chris.
And tonight we're talking about episode 3 of The Acolyte on Disney Plus. If you're new here, if you just happen to stumble upon our channel, I don't know how that is because YouTube doesn't push us, but if you're lucky enough to actually see us go live, we are doing this every Thursday night to talk about each episode of The Acolyte as the season 1 releases. And we do this kind of thing all the time. We talk about big pop culture shows. I know you and I may or may not cover House of the Dragon, depending on timing of that. I know it's kind of a big deal coming out. We love the first season.
Yeah.
And we've done Ted Lasso. I mean, we've done all kinds of shows. But anyway, this is Star Wars. And if you know us, Chris and I are big Star Wars nerds. Chris, he actually knows a lot about this era of the High Republic. So he has a lot of book knowledge and stuff leading into this show.
And that is
I'm kind of
hurting me.
I'm fresh. Yeah, it seems like it's hurting you. Seems like
Yeah.
that was kind of a detriment.
Yeah, no, I thought, knowing what I've known about the High Republic and everything about the Nihil and everything that is great that's happening within that era,
Yeah.
it's driving me nuts in this show. And I mean,
Arr.
and we'll kind of get into it. Like the show itself for me, I think I've more enjoyed than not enjoyed,
Yeah.
but they were leading me on with something here in this episode. And
How dare they?
I think
Dare they
they
lead you on?
they purposely did it to fans that know the High Republic era, and when it didn't pay off, it pissed me off.
Yeah.
So I don't want to.
Before we jump in it,
Crash.
we're live, by the way. I
Yes.
think we let people know that too late last week. We are live and we are interactive and we don't have no darn paywall or anything. You don't have to pay us to make a comment. We'll see every comment that you guys make if you're watching us from Facebook or YouTube or Twitch or X. I was about to say
Ooh.
Twitter. You can actually interact with us
sounds
right
naughty.
now. Leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts on this episode of The Acolyte or any thought in general. Maybe you want to let us know what you had for dinner earlier this evening. Whatever. Just chime in.
Well, let's do this. Let's start with this. It's a grand, thoughts of the first episode. You watched it today. What were your thoughts when you hit stop?
Well, the fact that I did watch it today and I didn't immediately watch it when it was released says something about my excitement level of this show. I guess the first 2 episodes that dropped for the premiere just didn't really do enough to really grab me and hook me and get me excited for where we go in this season. Because I tried watching it. I actually did try to watch it Tuesday night, but it was a little late. I'm an old man. I fell asleep about 10 minutes in. So you can see there was not much holding my attention. And then I didn't get back to it next day. I didn't get back to it until I got home from work tonight because I knew we were hopping on here. So, as far as this particular episode, there were some points made as far as bigger mythology stuff that we can get into. That's kind of cool. You have that meter as far as just like how many times you looked at your phone during an episode of television.
Yeah,
And I was kind of, I was there. I was kind of looking at my
wasn't
phone.
holding your attention.
Not really. No.
I am with you. This episode here, I liked kind of seeing a little bit of the story behind them. I liked what they added to the mythos.
Yeah.
I like the Covenant, the witches. I like all that. But Star Wars always does this, and it drives me nuts. We get a cool set of characters, and what happens? They're now gone.
Yeah.
Another. You have Dathomir. You have all the Night Sisters. And you can go on and on and on about how many creatures. I mean, genocide is normal within the Star Wars world.
Yeah.
Universe. But I'm gonna get in. I'll get into the negative first because I want to kind of get that out of the way. I don't like harping on something too hard. But
All right.
They used a character called the Mother here in this episode.
The Mother, yes.
Mother Anastasia.
Yes. Okay.
Now, this is I'll be frank. I'll be honest with everybody. This is a me issue because this is me knowing more Star Wars lore within that High Republic era. There's another character that they used the name the Mother for.
Mm-hmm.
and she is the leader of the Path of the Open Hand. Now she has a complicated name. I'm not even going to try to
Which
say
is
it.
like what, a cult?
Yes, that's exactly
W
what it is.
within the High Republic era.
That's correct. Yes, which
Okay.
to the formation of the Nile. So there's a lot of backstory and things that are within that mythos of that time frame.
Right, okay.
When they put out the Disney Plus poster of the hand, then you have either Oshi or May sitting in the hand, and then you see like I don't know, maybe like trees or hair or something coming, the hands coming up through.
Yeah.
I thought that was a clear hint to anyone that knew anything about the path of the open hand and the mother.
Mhm.
But this mother was a mother to this covenant, this cult of witches, which was
Yeah.
a whole different thing. And she starts, bending the force and using the force and all that. As soon as I seen that happening, I'm like, this isn't the same character. And that
Right.
and that's the moment they lost me for the entire episode.
Yeah.
I was watching, but I was watching and almost action alone. I was there just kind of watching it,
Let it
irritated at
wash over you.
yeah, irritated
Yeah.
at, the name of the character and how I felt like they purposely tried to dupe Star Wars fans
Yeah.
that are actually giving their time to the High Republic era. Because there's a lot of
Right.
people that just will give no time to it. They don't want nothing to
Right.
do with that era, and they'll move on once it's over. So that was my initial thought. But like I said, that was a
Yeah.
me problem, not a show or a Star Wars problem.
I'm just concerned about the rest of this. The feeling that I get is that there is a certain the developer of the show and the writers that she had, they had a story in mind and they just stuck to it, and there wasn't a lot of concern about how does this connect to other things, and how much of the High Republic era comics and novels we're gonna like take from and pull from. Now, as far as like the costuming and stuff, hey, good job. Looks good. But that may be the only stuff that we get. And it to be fair, it is a little bit further in the future than the High Republic era used to be. But I mean, there are some characters like this. Man, I'm telling you, I don't know how much more I would enjoy the show if Yoda was a part of it. Cause I want to see, I just think it would be so interesting. And you've read some books where Yoda is there. Like seeing Yoda be a Jedi and not just how he was in Empire Strikes Back, just kind of the hermit, and how he was just
More
kind
of
of
his
the stoic.
prime.
Yeah, or even in the prequels where he was just kind of like already on the council, so he already had to be like a leader and, just be a Jedi among other Jedis doing
Well,
Jedi things.
at this
That would
point,
be
he's
cool.
actually on the council.
Okay.
So he's actually already on the council at this timeline, because there's
Yeah.
a book that happens before that this timeline. Because this timeline happens closer and closer to the prequels. He's on the actual council in a book that I'm actually reading right now. So I know that he's on it, and I feel like they are purposely trying to avoid the needing of the council. They're trying to sweep it under
Right.
the rug and handle it that way. Because if they get the council involved, it's going to be a bigger issue.
Right, which that is clean, right? Because, uh, that would keep the Sith under wraps, I guess. There's still room. We do have how many episodes is this season? What,
I,
8?
I
Probably
think it's
8.
8. Yeah.
So we've just had 3, that leaves 5 left, and there's enough room towards the end of the season for some bigger connections. But I guess that's just something I'm missing where it's like I also had a preconceived notion like you, but as far as your preconceived notions, they had to do with the High Republic era and sort of tendrils of storylines coming from that. I had a notion as far as what I thought this show was gonna be. I thought it was gonna revolve more around the Sith and the
Hmm.
Acolyte being a Sith acolyte, and we would learn more about the culture of the Sith and why there's only 2 and get a backstory, maybe some sort of a lineage. I wanted more Sith than Jedi, and so far this show is like 90% Jedi,
Yeah.
95% Jedi. And it's just a lot different than I thought. I mean, yeah, that poster. You know what I mean? That poster with the lightsaber coming down and blood making the blade,
Yeah.
like that's dark. I thought we were getting like a dark show, and this is like Frozen, Frozen meets Kill Bill, but it's like 75% Frozen and 25% Kill Bill.
And
And,
I hope that tone changes. Uh, I can't say I've got any reason to believe that it's going to,
mhm,
but I feel like this episode, I think the majority of the rest of this show is we're going to continue to come back to this planet at this time and these events, and we're going to see it from a certain point of view every time. This time we've seen it through Oshi's point of view and the mother. We may be able
right.
to see it through May's point of view, or then it'll be Soul's point of view. So
Yeah.
we're gonna see this, these events, this whole thing that took place
Is that a
through.
theory that you think we're gonna revisit this episode again just through different perspectives?
Yeah. This is a complete theory of mine. There's I've got nothing to back this up
Okay,
because
because I gotta be honest, nothing in the writing of this show gives me any kind of, inclination that they do something that daring and interesting.
and the reason I say that though is because at the end, May is at that tree and she thinks Oshi's dead. Well, she
Yeah,
doesn't find out Oshi's alive until she's back on that other planet.
yeah,
And then we also have the events of Torben. Uh, so he actually, you see him get taken over.
right.
I think we're going to see something where he's the one that actually kills the witches, all these witches, this covenant. And
Mm,
it was a situation where either he was, uh, they brought him back into it, or it messed with his head, and they never got out of it. And they're trying to make the Jedi the fall guys of this whole situation, kind of like a
that's
cult situation.
that's interesting because I had my own theory watching this episode that maybe that, Zabrak woman that I guess physically had the twins,
Yeah,
um, I thought maybe there was a betrayal from her end because she felt as though, I'll be damned if the Jedi are gonna take these kids, hell or high water. I feel like maybe she turned on her sisterhood, and maybe she's even the one behind that Sith mask as far as being like the acolytes or, May's Sith, master.
Yeah,
Because I feel like there's enough tension early on from that woman that plays the Zabrak character that
yeah. Mother
that they
Cora.
may yeah, that they may bring more into that. But I don't know, only time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot that went on. We found out about the fire. There was that power, grid that was within that building they were in, that the temple type setup that kind of went
Yeah,
haywire. What
yeah,
led to that actually? Because they showed it earlier in the episode where there was kind of sparks and it was like already kind of on edge.
yeah.
What set it over the edge? I don't think it was the fire. I think the fire and that
I don't
happening.
think May had anything to do with it, that was just a
No,
story. Yeah,
yeah, I think there's two separate things that took place. May starting to fire at the door,
yeah.
and then the actual, you know, power situation going awry.
I would love it if you were right and say maybe not next episode, but the episode after, we have a replay and we see maybe everything in this episode again from different perspectives. I would like that. I think that's interesting. Anytime that a story or a movie or a show can do that, and I think there's ways to do that that are really, really interesting, and you start to see how things connect in a different way. I think maybe we'll get a flashback. I think maybe we'll get some reveals in the current timeline and then maybe a scene or 2 kinda showing things. I don't think it'll take up a whole
I
episode.
don't. Yeah, I'm thinking it won't be a whole episode, but they have to address a lot of open threads that they left
Yeah,
with that episode. But I mean, with the events, because we don't know what took place. All the characters believe somebody else did something.
right.
So I mean, it goes back to like a whole murder mystery setup.
Yeah.
Who did what in this situation?
There were a couple things that piqued my interest in this episode, and the few that did is what everybody seems to be talking about this week is the kind of the immaculate conception of these twins, you know? Apparently there is no father, and when she said that, the same way that Shmi said that back in The Phantom Menace, they actually even played the same musical sting that they had in the trailer when Shmi said that, there was no father. Um, it plays interesting. Like, let's get hey, if we get a little backstory as far as how Anakin came to be, I'm all for that. Like, that's cool.
I am not of the same mindset of you are though with that. I
Mhm.
don't. I think what happened to Anakin and Shmi is different. What happened to Oshi and May, because there's a line between Mother Korra and the mother, yeah, I'm gonna say her name wrong. Is
Zabrak lady, yeah.
yeah, what do you think the Jedi are gonna think when they find out how you made them? There was a
Uh-huh.
how you made them. So there was a manipulation of the Force in some manner, which caused the twins. Now they haven't said exactly, but I think the connection between Anakin and like the Chosen One prophecy
Yeah.
and these two, I don't think they're not of the same ilk.
Okay, what makes you think that be what makes you think that?
Based on the line that was in the show itself. Wait until the Jedi find out how you mate them.
Did I
Not
miss where we so do we miss we don't know how Anakin came to be, right?
no,
As
but
far
they
as
said it was. I mean, they came out pretty much said it was an immaculate conception setup. It was uh it wasn't a how like that he was made. It was she woke up and whoops, how'd this happen? Not like they nothing was manipulated. I'm taking the way that the line was given in the show
yeah.
is those two were able to manipulate the force to the point where they were able to create life. Kind of like how Plagueis was able to both create life and save life per Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith. If he was
I
telling the
just
truth
think
there,
I just think you don't introduce something like that and not have it
I
connect,
don't think they have a
like
plan. The problem is, I don't think they have a plan. I think they would introduce something cool like that and be and a line like that,
yeah,
and then people may just not catch the line and then not actually hold him accountable for okay, what was this?
yeah. Well, I mean, there's been plans well, not plans, but speculation for year on Anakin and how it came to be that maybe it was a Jedi, it was a manipulation of the Force, like, I don't think that's out of left field. I some people a lot I think I figured a lot of people thought that that was, like, an intentional thing, and not just, like, it magically kind of randomly happening for no reason. Like, I thought, it was, intentional, like, it was either a Sith or some kinda Jedi that, that wasn't with Shmi, or maybe Shmi had no idea. She was just walking through the Tatooine marketplace, and there happened to be a Jedi that chose her to, like, wave his hands at.
Wave his hand at
You know
her.
what I mean? Like, but, I don't know. Time will tell. As far as it being connected, it may or may not be. I just think that would be so strange to have those 2 very distinct, unique ideas of an immaculate conception or children being born without a father, and just they're just not really connected at all. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Star Wars these days, but boy, that would be disappointing for me.
Yeah, I think this thing like these witches and like the witches of Dathomir and everything, they show that they have a power different than traditional force users like Sith or Jedi. They have the ability to go ahead and bend things in ways that we don't see the other two do. And I think that's
Yeah.
why I took that line the way I took it. It's like, you made them unnaturally. I
Yeah.
carried them, you made them, and you were able to go ahead and twist whatever you needed to twist to make them, come to be.
And then there is let's see here. There was that line and then the stuff around. I was trying to think what else I
Oh, I
was
love the thread. I love the thread idea because everyone knows the force, but
yeah.
when they start like just describing the force as a thread, and you pull the thread and the thread ties everyone together.
Mhm.
I love that. Let's see, the thread that ties together, no one can separate. I think that
Mhm.
that line right there is gonna be huge when it comes to current times with the sisters.
Right.
Like I think May isn't gonna be able to follow through with anything because of Oshi. And it's
Yeah.
because of that line, that thread and everything, when she pulls the thread, she sets things in motion.
Mhm.
So I thought there was some cool things with that.
There was also, and by the way, folks, if you're watching, I know there's at least 12. There was 13, they just dipped. There's at least 12 of you watching live right now. Leave a comment, leave a thumbs up, and interact with us. Dang it, we are here. We are here, and we are live. We're with you right now. If you're listening right now, we're with you. What'd you think about the show? Maybe you loved it. Maybe you hated it. Let us know. Um, One other thing I wanted to bring up too, as far as things that interested me, was when they were doing the ritual. They were doing, what do they call it? The Assumption
Oh,
or
the Ascension.
the Ascension? Yeah. Um, they were chanting, what, power of the one, power of the two, power of the many.
Yeah.
Um, I'd like to learn the idea of a dyad in the Force is actually something that I think is an interesting idea. One of the very few and maybe the only redeemable quality of Rise of Skywalker as a movie is just that concept that, Palpatine saw Ben and Rey as a dyad in the Force, and because of that, it was like this extra powerful thing.
Yeah.
And, it kind of does this retcon where it's like, well, Luke and Leia were probably a dyad in the Force, and we just didn't know it. You know what I mean? It's like this whole concept of like this pairing, this two. And when they were chanting that, it gave me the idea like, okay, well, somehow they tapped into this. Like, there's a power of one being kind of like a single Jedi. There's a power of two being linked with somebody, and then the power of the many being like, a Jedi Council or a Jedi,
Yeah.
the
Or
Jedi,
if you're all standing shoulder to shoulder, all your power is basically combined type setup.
right. So I thought that was an interesting to kind of dip your toe into that. And, I do feel like the dyad or I think that's like sort of that goes in the ancient Jedi books, the ones that were burning and Yoda
Yeah.
didn't care about anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's ancient Jedi stuff, and I would love to learn more about that kind of thing because, like I said, I think it was really the only interesting concept that came out of that movie.
Mm.
Um,
Let's say, what
and
did you think of us finally seeing how Jedi basically test and take kids? I mean, I've seen a lot of opinions thinking that it's kind of creepy. I mean, when you think about it and you finally see it, they're like in the woods and they're kind of following and watching them. And on top of that, they said it's against the Republic's laws for them to train children. Isn't that kind of hypocritical? Because isn't that exactly what the Jedi are doing?
Yes, which made me think, well, maybe there's some sort of a mandate against this. Maybe the Jedi are well aware of this sisterhood that's out here basically in the middle of the woods, but on some backwoods planet. They gotta be. I mean, they know who
Well,
the
they
heck
said
they
they
are.
escaped to this point for safety.
Yeah,
So the rest of this sisterhood was already eliminated. This group here was what survived.
right. I wouldn't put it past the Jedi to initiate laws and rules to kinda curtail the growth of other Force users that aren't Jedi. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
could see that, especially Jedi of the era that have lost their way. That's the whole reason why we, want the new Jedi post the Star Wars trilogy to be better Jedi, because the more Jedi stories we see, the more Star Wars stories we see, we start realizing that the Jedi just, they tried, but they failed at a lot of things. So
Well, we got something. You see, Chris, I think there's more there. The witches are hiding, and I think the Jedi were tracking them and didn't expect the twins. I believe that they sensed the twins and they knew they were there. And that's why they were coming after them. Not so much that they were tracking them for any purpose, but they knew that they were kids. They knew that they were force sensitive, and they knew it was illegal for them to train the kids. So I think for me, that's how I read that when they showed up and they were basically hunting them, essentially.
yeah, it'd be a lot cleaner if, say, this was like a Xavier School for the Gifted and Talented, mutants out there like, "Oh, honey, you have mutant powers? Well, there's this safe haven you can go to, and maybe you should go there because it's a dangerous world." If it was like that, where it's like, "Oh, boy, you seem to be force sensitive. I better get you to the Jedi who know what the heck to do with that kind of thing, and maybe you can, go and earn your living being in the Jedi."
Yeah,
It's a little less that and a little more like when Palpatine was hunting children Jedi just to snuff them out or try to clone their blood or whatever. You know what I mean? Like we've seen a bunch of that in the animated stuff, the time period post Order 66, where the Jedi are being hunted down. It's kind of the thread line through the Fallen Jedi Order games with Cal Kestis, like he's protecting Jedi children or force sensitive kids. And yeah, it's like it's a little closer to that, which kind of sucks because instead, they're not hunting them down to kill them or, clone them per se, but they are kind of hunting them down to turn them into Jedi.
yeah,
Like they
they're
were
just
pretty
taking the
persistent.
children. Well, even Soul's like, don't be scared. You know, I left my family at the age of 4,
Yeah.
and I felt like it was the right thing to know. No kid at the age of 4 knows what's right and wrong. You
And
were
and
taken.
apparently something changes right between this era and the Phantom Menace because by the time the Phantom Menace hits, and these girls look around the same age, if not older, than
I think
Anakin
they're
did.
8. Yeah, I think that the age wise is 8. Now, yeah, you're onto something there because I think these two situations are connected. I think training her
Yeah.
and training Anakin, I think that's why Yoda was hesitant of
Yep. Too
doing.
old.
Yeah, exactly, because they
Yeah.
seen what happened in this instance.
Yeah. So this could be some backstory with that too. That's why I think it would be interesting if Yoda was involved, but whatever. We'll see.
I
I'd
don't
like to see
buy the
that
fact that he's
firsthand.
not going to be involved, even though the showrunners came out and said he would not be involved in the show. I don't believe a word coming out of actors or showrunners until the show is over because they held on to Baby Yoda so tight and nobody knew what was happening. So if they
Yeah,
want to
that's
keep
fair.
tight-lipped about something,
Right.
I think it's possible, not plausible, but it's out there. Uh,
Was there anything else that kind of interested you in this episode?
I don't. I mean, really, the power struggle. I mean, I like the line between the mother and it was Oshi about how winter they hunt with Bunta and summer they hunt with bow and arrows. But then
Uh-huh.
Oshi's like, but we still hunt. So she
Right.
kind of threw the line back at her when in reality nothing changes, just the method of hunting changes. And you see it like you can see it in her mother's face, like she knows she's smart. She knows she's smart
Mhm.
enough to make her own decisions and pull the thread herself and decide which way she's going to go. And there was
Right.
that whole conversation when he said, "You know what? You make your decisions. Your decisions aren't predetermined for you."
Yeah.
And I like all of that, but now thinking of that, it goes back to your theory about Mother Cora being the one that turns on everybody
Mhm.
because she was going to bring this that Oshi wanted to leave to
Mhm.
everybody. And
Right.
if she brought that to her and she started taking out everybody, and the Jedi came in and wound up, taking her out, at the end of it,
Yeah.
that could because we actually hear something take place when Oshi is underneath the grate. She hears, which sounds like her mother and the other witches in the Covenant fighting or something falling or something
Yeah.
right then. So something took place when she was right underneath them, which was the conflict that killed everybody.
I think there's more. I think there's a connection between May and that one mother. I think maybe that the one mother is the black mother. Is it Soul? Is that the one? No, it's
No, it's Cora. Cora.
Cora. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I think maybe they had a connection, and because I mean, freaking May was like all in. She was like, "Well, I'm gonna keep you here. I'm gonna kill you." Like
Yeah,
she literally said, like,
exactly.
"Well,
You're
I'm
not
gonna kill
leaving, you're
you."
gonna die.
I
Yeah.
mean, she went from 0 to 60 in a point 2 seconds, you know what I mean? Like, "Whoa, okay. That's some dark side energy. Where are you getting that from?" And is that like a side effect of her going through the ascension? Is it a side effect of the ascension being interrupted halfway through? Because it definitely seemed like, um, whatever ritual they were doing, like, I mean, the Jedi interrupted it before
That's
Osha could
complete
get
yeah.
her, branding on the forehead. There is I actually much prefer to see more of May than Osha. I think Osha's kinda just, like, a little bit of a boring character, but that's what I'm saying, like, I wanted to see the dark
I
side in the show.
I'm still to the point, even after this episode, and this is, I think, the biggest negative I can say about the show. I don't care about these characters.
Yeah.
I don't care about Osha. I don't care about May. I don't know, to be honest, I don't know what I care about yet with this show. It's like
Yeah.
we are 3 episodes in, and they've yet to have me really care about what's truly going on.
Yeah.
And with it only being an 8-episode run, they
It's
can't
hard.
afford to wait 4 episodes in to actually engage their audience.
It's so tough. I mean, there's a lot of things holding me back from liking this show. I'm rewriting it in my head as I'm watching it, and that's never good. That's never something you want to do. I'm like, how would I be more into this show? And like, if they moved this scene here, and like maybe they did this in episode 2 as opposed to 3, like, you know what I mean? And it's just like if you're thinking about that, that's
Yeah,
why
you're
couldn't a
already
professional
out.
writer think about that? And then
Yeah.
I'm like, well, maybe I'm the one. Maybe I'm just used to TV and storytelling being a certain way, and maybe this just has like new ideals as far as the way you tell a story, and I'm just like trying to fit an old school, round peg in a square hole? Is it on me? Am I the one where it's just like it's not hitting me because I'm maybe too old for the demographic, or am I just used to deeper storytelling? I think there is something to say about, a movie is a movie is a movie. A movie has to take a lot of shortcuts to get you to invest in characters within that 2 hours, and this is something I touched on last week. But, and then a TV show is a TV show, and they have much more time generally to
Yeah.
get you invested. You learn and
Used
grow
to.
with the character. They used to, but now TV is this halfway muddled thing where it's a little of both, and you get a length that you barely get to touch on stuff, and I don't think I think only really talented writers that used to write movies can do a show where you feel like you're invested in the characters because they know those tricks of the trade, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to this where I think maybe this feels more like TV, but it's like, what if we had a show where we only had a TV show with 8 episodes and they're not giving me the shortcuts to really hook me into these characters?
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's a detriment of streaming and where television is right now too.
Yeah. I agree. But I mean, that's pretty much all I got. I mean, I want to like this show. I
Yeah.
so badly want to like the show. I'm not out on it because the second time I watched it through, it did engage me more once I got rid of my notions of what I thought they were leading on to with the poster and with the character named a mother.
Mhm.
Those little things there. So now it's okay. Are we going to go? Are we going to jump 16 years forward again? So I think that's where we need to go. We need to go six, or are they going to go maybe 8 years and we'll see some of the training the next episode?
Oh,
But
right, yeah.
but we need to actually get to who is this figure that we've seen standing like on the rock with a lightsaber. We need to get to that. We
Yeah.
need to get to the guy that was in the market who gave her the bunta, that
Mhm.
leaf that poisoned Torben. We need to
Yeah,
figure out who is this character because there's more to him than we actually know.
right.
So I don't know, and I think, I really think that this show is, if anything, is showing the splintering and the one-two grasp of power that the Jedi have. They
Mhm.
are grasping at power now. They want the power, and this is where we'll start seeing like the downfall to where we see them actually fall.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's a big story to tell with such a small cast, you know what I mean? Then maybe that's a detriment. Let's see, Christopher saying, "You guys don't think there was any foul play by the Jedi?" I do. That is something I'm almost wondering if Carrie Ann Moss's character had something to do with their destruction too, and maybe that's why she was the first target on May's list. There's something about her and the way she held herself in that first episode when she fought and stuff where I'm like, I could see her being a little devious. Uh, Possibly. Yeah, there's something Saul, I'm down with. These other 3 Jedi, even the Wookiee, I'm like, I don't know what he's
Yeah,
saying.
Kanaka. We haven't seen a whole lot from Kanaka at all.
Yeah.
It's like,
So
okay,
possibly.
what is he up to? And he seems chill. He seems kind of more like just in the back guy. He's more of the enforcer, I feel like, of the group. He's just kind of
Frankly, I
there.
hope we're going down that road. I hope we start learning that, the other 3 Jedi that Soul were with were actually kinda like crooked cops or something, you know what I mean? Like, I would love to see that, and then that would make May's revenge feel a little more like, "Oh, okay, I understand where she's coming from," you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And that would
That would be
fall in
some
line with
interesting
the High
storytelling.
Republic era.
Yeah.
Because there have been things where like things have gone sideways. Jedi have, regretted decisions that were made. I mean, we've seen the Bowish Fowl. That's what Torben was actually he took in because he made decisions that he felt like he needed to, atone for.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting, yeah. If you've seen one, and why is Kanaka on a planet all by himself? Why does he feel like he needed to go ahead and
Maybe he's on the
isolate
run.
himself? He pulled a Yoda essentially.
Yeah.
He went ahead and isolated himself. Now there are not pathfinders, but way seekers in that
Mhm.
time frame where Jedi will be alone. They will be like doing their own thing, not really being held to what the actual Jedi Council is saying. unless they're all recalled for some reason, which right now in the book I'm in, they have been recalled. But
you need to quit. You need to drop them books. This
that's
ain't
a whole.
no.
I
Just go wait
know,
for the book readers. I think you're
I
gonna let
know,
yourself down more often than not watching this show.
but yeah. I mean, I'm in for next week. I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch all the way through. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be here. We're gonna be here to talk about every episode. Look, it's gonna have to do something pretty awful for you
It
and I
needs.
to just drop a Star Wars show.
Yeah, I mean, we made it through Boba Fett, so.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, guys, I think that's about all I've got, frankly. 35 minutes. I'm shocked I had that much here.
Yeah.
Uh, but if you guys are watching, like we said before, we are always live. We're always, want a live interaction. Drop us a comment. We'll bring it up. We'll address it. If you're watching recorded, go ahead and put it in the comments. I always make sure that I go ahead and I address everyone. Thank you for taking the time, for leaving it, because we really appreciate it. We have more fun doing this show when you guys actually interact with us, because
Yes.
it adds to the conversation.
Yeah.
But I guess really, until we see you next time, I'm gonna drop a Star Wars High Republic era line on you.
Okay. All right.
We are all one with the Republic. Wow, I said
You're
that
what?
wrong. We are all
We
the
are
Republic. We are all the Republic. That's the line I was
we
trying to
are
say.
all the Republic.
We
Okay.
are all the Republic. There we go.